Hi, and welcome again to one of my LinkedIn Lives. Today is an extra special day, and let me start by telling you why that is. Because today, precisely 4 years ago, was what I wanted to say, was when I landed in England. Woohoo! So next year I can apply for settled status, which is magnificent. It's also a special day because in Sweden and Denmark, the 13th of December is when they celebrate, or we celebrate, Saint Lucia, or Sancta Lucia, as we say in Danish. And you can see I've got lights here dangling in front of me. In Sweden, they carry a real candle and the so-called Lucia Brud, so the bride of, I don't know why they call it the bride of Lucia, has a wreath on their head of the same as, pine, like the Christmas tree behind me. And there are live candles in that as well. And that's my niece actually was selected when she was a little girl. I think it was 2 years ago or something like that she was chosen because she has got the most amazing golden hair with huge soft curls. She looked so brilliant in that photo. I can't remember what I've done with it. My little brother sent it to me and I don't know where it is. It's probably somewhere stuffed away safely. So yeah, today is a very, very special day for me. And we are talking about whether copyrights can be sold or not. So let me first of all tell you the definition. I've got both my book and my phone to give the definitions. So copyright, in my book, I write that copyright comes into being automatically. Literary works, including writing, art, photography, films, TV, music, web content, sound recordings, and computer code are also considered works protected by the copyright legislation. When you express yourself in a creative way, such as writing lyrics to a song, composing a piece of music, or taking a picture of someone or something in a studio or indeed outside a studio, and you consider every detail of it. Or if you write a film manuscript and you make this into a unique manuscript by putting your thumbprint on it, as it were, to mention, but if you, then you own the copyright without having to register it anywhere. We'll get back to that one. Hang on. No, so in certain countries, registration of copyrighted material is an option that is completely voluntary to ensure the rights. And then countries such as the US clearly state that in order to file a lawsuit for copyright infringement, the material has to be registered at the US Copyright Office. Denmark, which was where I lived when I wrote this book, does not have this option. The Danes work with a license agreement and they work really well. Thank you very much. What's what I wrote at the time. So let me read what it says in Wikipedia. Copyright is a type of intellectual property that gives the owner exclusive right to copy, distribute, adapt, display, perform a creative work, usually for a limited time. The creative work may be in a literary, artistic, educational, or musical form. Copyright is intended to protect the original expression of an idea in the form of a creative work, but not the idea itself, because ideas stay inside people's heads. That's why we can't protect an idea. A copyright is subject to limitations based on public interest considerations such as fair use. This is American doctrine in the United States. Some jurisdictions require fixing copyrighted works in a tangible form. It is often shared among multiple authors, each of whom holds a set of rights to use or license the work and who are commonly referred to as rights holders. Yeah, these rights frequently include reproduction, control over derivative works, distribution, public performance, and moral rights such as attribution. Copyrights can be granted by public law and are, in that case, considered territorial rights. This means that copyrights granted by the law of a certain state do not extend beyond the territory of that specific jurisdiction. Copyrights of this type vary by country. Many countries, and sometimes a large group of countries, such as the EU, have made agreements with other countries on procedures applicable when works cross national borders or national rights are inconsistent. Yeah, typically the law duration of a copyright expires between 50 to 100 years after the creator dies, depending on the jurisdiction. Some countries require certain copyright formalities to establishing copyright. Others recognize copyright in a completed work without a formal registration, such as I mentioned before. When the copyright of a work expires, it enters the public domain. So whenever I sell a copy of my book, I do not sell the copyright itself because I still retain that. However, if you were to create like a jingle or a sound mark for someone, you would probably be required to sell the whole copyright. Hang on, just needed some water there. Also, though, and do say hi if you're here, if you've joined me, that would be absolutely lovely. So say you are someone who creates music for whatever reason. It can be a sound mark, it can just be a jingle that people want to use for something. It can also be a sound mark. Then most of the time you will be expected to sell the copyright to it. You might be able to obtain, or not obtain, but to get the buyer to agree to a licensing agreement, but that's a completely different conversation to this one. And of course, if you did want, if I didn't want to keep the copyright of my book, I could sell it to someone, or I could give it to someone. But we're talking about whether copyright can be sold, and the answer is yes. So if there are no questions, I'm just going to allow a little bit of time to roll by and to see if anybody comes up with any questions for me. If not, I'll wrap it up. I know that 12 noon is most often the time when people are having their lunch breaks, and that's totally fine. And if you are in the Scandinavian countries, you will be celebrating St. Lucia today, or Sankta Lucia, as we say in Danish. So yeah, and it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I am not one bit bothered whether anybody joins me live or not. It does not matter to me at all, because I know the value that I provide anyway. So it's all good. I don't seem to have any questions coming through, and that's totally fine. If that is the case, then let's wrap it up for today. And I trust that you will have a fantastic rest of your day. And if you're in the Scandinavian countries, happy Sankta Lucia. I don't know if you can actually say that. I've never heard that before. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Over and out for now. Bye. See you next Tuesday.